Hey guys, it's Sarah and I am here to do a final 2017 book haul. So these are books that I purchased in December and I have just been waiting to film this because I have another book that's on the way. However, it's taking forever to get here, number one, and number two, I have no idea when it's coming. It should have been here already. So I'm definitely stalking my mailman, but I don't have any tracking or anything on it and it's just taking forever. And so I told myself that if it didn't come today, I was just gonna go ahead and film this and I'll just include that one in January and just not worry about it. I have a book outlet box. I have some thrift store finds that were not Goodwill, it was a different thrift store. And then I got something on Barnes & Noble with a credit. I got something from a publisher and then I got something this morning at Walmart. But first, I want to show you a fun little bookish item that I got. I finally ended up getting a book sleeve, and this is something that I've been seeing around a lot, like the fabric book sleeves, and I thought they were really cool. And I decided to go ahead and get one when I put my book in a bag, and the corner kind of got jacked up a little bit, and I was like, ah! I mean, it's fine. The book is fine, but it still like irked me a little bit that, you know, just because I want to take my book with me, it's going to get damaged in my bag. So I went ahead and finally just got a book sleeve, and I got one off of Etsy, and it's actually from a girl who has a booktube channel, and I will leave her channel and her Etsy shop link down below, but they're called Bookoosies, which is the super cutest name like ever. It's like a koozie for your book. And I got a little pineapple print on here, and it's really super cute, and it's really padded. It's nice and padded inside, and there's like felt on the inside, so it's really going to protect your book nice. It's a really good size. I can fit either a hardback or a paperback in here, no problem. And I just love the pineapples. My best friend and I have a funny little inside joke about pineapples. So we go through this thing where we get each other pineapples all the time. So when I saw the pineapples, I was like, yes. Again, I will leave the Etsy shop down below so you guys can go check it out. And I will leave Taylor's YouTube channel link down below too, because she does booktube stuff, but super cute. So thank you, Taylor. All right, we are going to start with Book Outlet. I have about, I think 6 books in here, maybe 7. 6 books. I have 6 books. Let me first show you the reason I placed this order. And that's because they had The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett on there. And then they also had the second book, World Without End, but they only had limited amounts of these. So I wanted to go ahead and get them while they were cheap, because this is one that is on my birthday reading list. I'm really excited to reread it. I did read this book, I think when I was either in college or just married, something like that. Like a very, very long time ago, I read this book and I loved it. I remember absolutely loving it, but I don't remember a lot of the details about it. So when it came up as a recommendation in my birthday reading project, I was like, yes, I'm going to do that. That's something I've been wanting to reread lately because the 3rd book just came out. And I have not read the 2nd book. So I went ahead and grabbed that one too. These are huge, ginormous, but they're really pretty. This edition actually was not the one that, like, it had a different picture on Book Outlet when I ordered this one, but I got this edition instead, which is fine. It's really pretty. It just really is pretty. I just wasn't expecting it to be this cover. I thought it was going to be like the really pretty yellow cover, but it's all right. And then again, I just went ahead and grabbed both of them. So I have these both ready to go now. And while I was on there putting those in my cart because I noticed they were there, I just went ahead and browsed a little bit just to see what was on my wish list that was popping up. And I decided to add a couple more things in there only because they had very limited quantities. So I went ahead and just grabbed them while I could, while they were available, because once they go out of stock, you don't know when they're going to be coming back in stock again. Sometimes they do, sometimes they never do. So if something is on my wish list that I'm watching and it comes up with very limited amount, a lot of times I'll just go ahead and grab them while I can at that price. So this is one of them, and it is The Women in the Castle, and this is by Jessica Shattuck, and I believe this is a World War II historical fiction, and that's all I know. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. I really love this cover. I think it's beautiful, and I did hear the premise of it a while ago and decided to go ahead and put it on my watch list because it was something I was interested in. And historical fiction is a genre that I am really getting into, especially World War II historical fiction. So I went ahead and just grabbed this one. The next one is also a historical fiction that I've heard really, really good things about. and I went ahead and grabbed this one. This is Under a Painted Sky, and this is written by Stacy Lee, and this actually follows a young Chinese American girl who finds herself on her own, and I believe it's in the 1800s, and she ends up teaming up with an older woman who is a slave, and they are on the Oregon Trail, kind of either running for their lives or just trying to make new lives for themselves. And I believe because they're two females traveling by themselves, they end up disguising themselves as males so that they don't come across any trouble. That sounds interesting. And like I said, I've heard good things about it from a couple people who have read it. I don't hear a ton about this from a lot of people, but the few people that I have heard things from, they were good. So I went ahead and grabbed it. And another kind of historical fiction book, I believe it's in the early 1900s, and this is The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. Kate Morton is an author that I want to get into. I believe that our book club in Tucson read one of her books, but I think it was a meeting that I couldn't go to, so I didn't end up reading it. I think it was The Distant Hours that we were supposed to be reading, so I never did read it, but everyone really liked it. And I have heard that if you like historical fiction, Kate Morton is a really good one to read. So I figured I would go ahead and grab one of her books while I could. This was the only one that was available. And this is actually her debut novel. So I figured a great place to start. And the last one that I got from Book Outlet is actually, I believe it's a contemporary kind of a thriller, maybe a mystery type of book, but that is First We Were Four, and this is written by Alexandra Sirawi. And I heard about this book on Books and Lala's channel, and she absolutely loved it, and she likes her as an author a lot. And when she was describing it, it sounded really interesting. I believe it follows a group of girls who kind of form this little group, and they have secrets among their group, and I think it's following that and then something happens and, you know, just that type of stuff. But I've heard good things from a few people who have read it, and I figured I would go ahead and grab it while it was cheap, and I really like the spine. It's really pretty. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, now I want to talk about some books that I got at a thrift shop that we have at our Air Force Base here. And the thrift shop has a really good selection of books usually, but they don't have a lot of turnover as far as the books go. So if I go too often, I'll just be looking at the same things over and over. So I try to go every couple of months or so. And I decided to go one day. I had gone out there to run some errands and I saw that the thrift shop was open. So I was like, I'm just going to go in and see what kind of stuff they have. And I ended up getting 4 books. So the first one I got is Firefly Lane, and this is written by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna is an author I really want to get into in 2018. I just read The Nightingale from her, and it became one of my favorite books of all time. And I've heard very good things about this one as well. And I figured I would go ahead and add this to my collection so I can start reading her. And the next one is another author that I've heard very good things about, and it is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is actually a lot shorter than I was expecting. It's really teeny tiny, but I've heard very, very good things about this book and about her as an author in particular. And I believe this one is her debut novel. She has 2 out now, and I believe it follows Chinese American protagonists, and that's all I know. And so I figured I would go ahead and give this one a shot. It's really tiny. I'm really surprised. And the next one I got is by an author who I have not read yet, but I've heard good things about her books. And that's Diane Chamberlain, and I got Necessary Lies. And I went ahead and read the synopsis of this, and it sounded interesting, but I believe she writes kind of murder, mystery, thriller type of books. I don't know if they all have murder in them, but they're kind of mystery thriller type of things. And so I figured I would give her a shot. And the last one that I found at the thrift store, I was super excited to see because this is an author I definitely want to get more into as well. I've read a couple of her books and I've loved them. And this is actually book number 2 in a trilogy that she has written. I have the first book and I got it at a library sale a couple of years ago, but it's a UK edition. And so I figured I would have to, you know, get them on Book Depository if I wanted to continue. But I found the second book in the UK edition at the thrift store and I was like, yeah, awesome. So that's Sarah Pinborough, and this is Shadow of the Soul. So this is book number 2 in a trilogy. I don't know what it's called. The Dog-Faced Gods, is that what it's called? Yes, The Dog-Faced Gods, book 2. So the first one, I believe, is called A Matter of Blood, and I have that one on my shelf already. It's red. And then this is the second book, and it matches the same edition. And I was just super excited to see it at the thrift store. And so I went ahead and made sure I grabbed it. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I just got at random places. The first one is 4th of July Creek by Smith Henderson. And this one I got at the dollar store. I have no idea what it's about anymore. But when I read it, it sounded interesting. And yeah, I like the cover a lot. I think the cover is really cool. So I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll try to read this in July. The next one I got from a publisher, and I was not expecting it. It just came to me. And this came to me from Clean Team Publishing. And they sent me Canary Club, and this is written by Sherry D. Ficklin. And this book has already been released. It was released earlier in 2017, or towards the end of 2017, but it's already been released, excuse me. And I have heard this being compared to kind of like a take on The Great Gatsby, kind of that era, and not really a retelling, but kind of inspired by. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I actually have The Great Gatsby, which I have not read yet. So, yeah, but I'm interested, so thank you. Okay, this next one is one that I got at barnesandnoble.com, and I had a credit that I got from the kind of settlement type thing. I've gotten a couple of those. It was only like $2 or $3, but I was like, well, I'm not gonna let that go to waste, you know what I mean? So I used it as credit to go ahead and get another Jodi Picoult book. This one is Perfect Match. This is the next book of Jodi's that I have really been wanting to read. This one, I believe, follows a woman who is a district attorney, and she's, you know, very by the book and very by the law. She prosecutes people. However, she ends up having a tragedy happen in her own family and has to be in the courtroom and has to be the support for her own family. But I think she ends up attacking the person who's on trial for doing something to her family. So she kind of loses her moral compass, basically. And I love Jodi. She's one of my favorite authors. And this one has just been kind of in my mind that I want to read this one next when I pick up another Jodi book. And the last book that I'm going to haul is a book that I'm about to read, actually, and it is The Life She Was Given, and this is written by Ellen Marie Wiseman. This is another one that was on my birthday reading project list, so it was recommended to me by one of my subscribers. I'm super excited to read it. I did pull it out of my TBR jar for the month of January, so I will be reading it. I thought about getting it from the library, but the more I hear about this book, the more I am convinced that I'm going to love it, and I'm probably going to want a copy of it when I finish it. And I figured I would just go ahead and pick it up anyway. All right, guys, that is it. So those are all the books that I bought in the month of December. I'm just waiting for one more, and once that comes, I'll just add that to my January pile. Hopefully it won't be very big. And I have one more haul coming up, and I'm probably going to post it probably tomorrow just to go ahead and haul them so I can get them on my shelves. But it's a very special one, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So make sure you come back tomorrow for that. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day. Bye.